Hey guys, and welcome back to Content is Profit. Today is a very different episode. Last week, I had the opportunity to hop on a call with two of our Business Creator Club founding members, and it was exciting. It was a call to get to know them and get to see, what are they currently doing, what do they need help with, and it turned out to be a very fun call. And then their feedback was incredible. They love the format and they love the things that we talked about and where we want to take the community. So we thought it was useful for the people out there listening to us or watching us to consume. So if you have any lessons, if you have any comments, if you have any type of feedback based on today's episode, let me know. We have two of these, so make sure to listen to both of them. They're both very specific case studies, different from each other, but I think there's a lot of lessons that we can take from this. So super stoked. If you're not yet in our Facebook community, you can go to facebook.com and search Content is Profit Facebook group. We're there. We just wrapped up running a 17-day challenge. But if you want to be part of the Business Creator Club, which is a step up based on that, it's businesscreator.club, and we'll see you there. Oh, and I almost forgot. I did not record on Zoom when we were doing this, and lucky us, we were recording in our note taker, or AI note taker. So the recording that you're about to watch, if you listen, I don't think there's an issue. But if you're watching, it's gonna look like you're watching a film from the 80s. So, anyways, I apologize obviously for the quality, but I think as far as like the content goes and the conversation, it doesn't take away. But that's why if you're watching it, it's gonna look a little bit different. All right, with that, enjoy the episode. And we have 17 dares that we're doing with people. People started today. So you're still in time, and you're like technically living in the future. So you're way more. Yes. You're way more than in time.
So many levels. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'll do that because the people that are in the chat, that's why I also sent the email for you guys to book, which you got. That's why you booked the session, I think. It's, those are the first people that we're going to be also kind of reaching out. And we have a couple of like calls here and there that, you might want to join. But yeah, also an opportunity to meet awesome people in the group. There's about 300 in the Facebook group right now. I think active in the challenge, we have about 40. So today there was, if you were to write a book, what book would you write? And we've been getting so fun and so interesting answers. So
I already know. I have a book that I've been writing for 10 years that I've not actually taken action on.
Oh, come on. Okay, well, then I will expect your video in the group today.
Oh, okay, it's time. It's now. But, there's a reason for it. I think sometimes you plant the seed and it germinates through the integration of the idea. And I feel the book is coming now. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, my mom used to say everything happens for a reason and it's always the best reason. So no judgment there. It's the timing is always perfect. So, but I would love for you to kind of share that story with the people. We had some very interesting story, and we have some business owners, and we have some people kind of exploring what they want to do with their life, and maybe this is a path. So I will be honored if you come join us. But apart from that, I'm here to answer not only logistical questions. Obviously, that's a quick update. But also, like, if you have any specific questions on, the content, kind of what we do, if not, I can give you a quick recap of what we're planning to do specifically on topics, and then go from there.
That would be awesome if you give me because I joined this group to connect with people who are in business and creating content. That was exactly
awesome.
Why. Because I know people who create content, and I know people who have businesses that don't create content. And so it's that the two together, and being in a rural location and wanting to reach a global market, like, I think that the content is really important. And I used to have a physical space, so a lot of my content was drawing people into the physical space. So I was really locally focused.
Okay.
Locally, I say locally, but within the state, because we used to have people from Sydney, the city, which is like 3.5, 4 hours away.
Okay.
come down for the weekend. So I was always drawing people into the space. Now I'm trying to draw people to my services, which is different.
Okay.
Because it's a connection back to me and what I can do for them personally, whereas the space was a retail store, my artisanal workshop, and I was selling on behalf of nearly 20 other people. So it was an experience for people to come into the space, but it wasn't all about me. And that was intentional. I didn't want it to be all about me. So I've really struggled with that, coming back to talking just about what I can offer people. And my content recently, I've really honed in on. I've got to start doing that more. But it feels narcissistic at times. And so that's why connecting with other people who actually do this for a living and understand the value of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I totally get it. The other day, our podcast producer, she's like, "Hey guys, I sent you a script. I need you guys to do this video. Like, you must do this video." And I'm like, Mava, oh my gosh, like I'm reading this script and I'm like, I don't want to talk about myself. This is horrible. That's why we go to interview podcasts. It's like, because it's different. But it turned out that she was right and it worked out really good. So, hopefully we can bring some of those lessons. But yeah, absolutely. So I think, well, number one, on the community side, I think the Facebook group is going to be down your alley. I don't know. I think we might have some Australians in there. But even online, I think there's incredible people that are there. I mean, Stacy, she's helping us run the challenge. She's a TED speaker. She's working like on movie productions here in the States, and she has her own consultancy. So just her, like, is top of my mind. But I think that's going to be a good start for you to kind of start connecting with amazing. And everybody, we did a kickoff party on Thursday, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, you do that!" And then those connections started happening. So
that's 3 a.m. I'm not sure I can do.
I know. But DMs on Facebook or messages, and maybe we do like an afternoon coffee / morning coffee for you.
I'm not expecting it to be catered to Australians necessarily, but I've done a lot of US based programs.
Awesome.
And some of them, the 5 a.m. start you can do, but the 3 a.m. it's just that middle of the night. It's like,
yeah, no. And I honestly had no, like, it's not just you. We have a couple that have reached out. So, it's based on like, I really want to be on those calls, especially at the beginning of this. So that's like the time, but no worries. Like, I'm putting it here. We might have to open like an Australian only like schedule so we can all hang out. We've done our like 8 p.m. shows with Australians, which is awesome. But I think that's step number one. And then, so I'll basically, if you don't mind, can I ask you a couple questions on like right now? Obviously, before you were doing physical retail, now it's like services. What kind of services are you offering right now? What do you do?
I wasn't just retail in that space. I actually also coached in the space.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Okay.
It was creative co-working. So I had other businesses in there as well. And then I had the retail store, which was open only limited trading hours. And outside of that, I ran events and workshops that we had business events. We also had artisanal workshops that people could learn.
Awesome.
A skill. And then I also made on site. I'm an artisan as well, so I made my products on site. So now I have, since closing that, I brought my focus back to coaching. And my coaching, I do two different types of coaching. One is through the government program that you had that email address for. That is specifically on your digital presence. So we work with micro and small business owners on supporting them on getting started on going online, or if they're already online, actually elevating their presence. So, and that's been really good, but it is only restricted to New South Wales, Australia. That's our section of the program. My other coaching is I work as an embodiment coach. It's actually Dharma coaching is the certification, so soul purpose. Okay. But I focus predominantly on business owners because I wanted to support people in the holistic way of doing their business. So they're looking after themselves, not just looking at the dollar. Mainly because I experienced that. I experienced being burnt out and completely. I mean, I've been in business for 25 years, but have had seasons. You talk about not getting any sleep. I've been there, working 13-hour days.
Yeah, I'm in one of those sprints at the moment.
And it comes in season. So I'm not judging that at all. Like even at the moment, I'm working longer hours than I would like to in front of a computer because I'm trying to amplify to that next level in what I'm doing. And then once I find that rhythm, I'll pull back, I'm sure. But anyway, so the embodiment coaching it looks at working in a cyclical manner. So I work with the moon cycle on how to actually plan out business activities. And so at the moment, it's a full moon and that I get really excited about it. Because right there, I'm looking at it, I'm distracted by the moon. But
no, you're good. You're good. I mean, I will be too.
Yeah, it was so beautiful. But it's working with those energetics. And what it does is it helps people cover all areas of their business. So rather than always just focusing on output and not focusing on going back in and reflecting. So the new moon part of the phase is really a time to go in, reflect on what happened the month before, make decisions for the month going forward. So I don't always pitch it with that that a little bit kind of, it's a bit out there to talk about the moon. So I just try and talk about it in terms of cyclical living and the way that nature works. So it's almost seasonal. So at the moment, that is all online. I have had some in-person sessions as well, but because I'm remote, I don't really, my village is only like 200 people in the village and the nearest town is 5,000 population.
Wow. Okay.
And it's still connected to cities. Like we're 3 hours or hour and a half away from bigger cities and towns. But predominantly I work from this space. So, which is why the online is really now so important.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. So, do you have like a specific product that you sell, or is it like do you have a library of products? Is it more like a ongoing coaching month to month or courses?
Yeah, I don't have a course at the moment. I had one which was called La Luna Living, and that was based on cyclical, but I used to do that in person and then I started to sell it online, but I'm not on Kajabi, or anything like that. So I did it in a way where I created a PDF and then the links through the PDF went to YouTube, private list videos, and people could access the support videos through that. And that worked for a little bit, but I don't, it feels a little bit unprofessional. So I've kind of pulled back on that. And instead I offered a membership where I worked with people in Zoom sessions and we did new moon, full moon meetups. And in between I supported them through the Patreon page. That again, I actually pulled back on that because I sound like I don't follow through, but it's not that. It's just I'm going through this change of selling my house and moving, and I couldn't, the energy that was going into supporting those people on Patreon, I wasn't actually getting enough return on the investment of time financially. So I pulled back on that. I just put a pause on it and have been focusing on selling the 3-month containers or the coaching through the program that I do. I can feed now into my personal coaching, whereas at first they didn't allow us to do that, so there was no transfer across. So in terms of products, I have a digital ebook that I promote, which is only $11 Australian, so it's not a big money. But I'm really focusing now on selling my coaching service, and I'm bringing awareness back to my artisanal goods, the actual products that I make that support people physically in what they're doing.
Awesome. That's so cool. And first of all, thank you for sharing and being so open about it. I really appreciate it. And also on my side, zero judgment, because I don't call it follow through. I call it pivoting. So it's totally okay. I've learned that it's okay sometimes to do that. And also full transparency, we're not the best at that either, right? Like we're trying to figure out, what is the thing that not only we enjoy doing, but we're also support in the best of our ability. So super awesome.
And I've learned the hard way that you can pitch something to people, but it may not be what they actually are needing.
Yeah.
And so you can put a lot of energy into it and end up draining yourself to serve a person in the way that you think that they need. And that's part of the reason I pulled back on the membership. I was like, I actually need to hear more from the clients what they need before I put all the energy into putting something out there that I think they need, which is why my YouTube channel has become more of a focus, so I can go a little deeper into what I'm about and attract the people that resonate with that.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
Have them ask me the questions that then lead me to what they need. That's
awesome. Will you mind sharing your YouTube channel in the chat?
I will. It
yeah.
Is.
That's cool. So, so how are you getting into those current conversations right now to find, what your customers currently need, or your leads or your prospects?
Well, at the moment, I'm really using, I'm actually using the program that I'm working in as a lead generator, because I get to talk to business owners directly. Do I just share the handle, or do you want me to actually put the link in?
If you want to put the link, that's great. I can just click it and then grab it from there. Awesome.
Yeah, at the moment, I'm doing that through, because I'm working with micro and small business owners who aren't digitally savvy. That's one thing. And quite often they're actually not very savvy at, did I send it to you, or did I send it to that reading AI?
I think you sent it to my AI.
Hang on, go back. There we go.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and because, the portal is that they're not digitally savvy, but then you find out about their challenges in business at the same time. So I'm just learning what is required out there, but I do want to actually, if this is, because it's so niche in terms of it's just digital, I don't want to just support people in the digital space. I want to support them personally.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm looking at your channel right now. It looks really nice and professional, and I love where you're recording the videos.
Well, I've gone back into my studio shed recently. I used to just do it in this room, but I find I sit on my desk chair a lot for it, and I'm quite stationary. So I've gone back into the studio shed because I stand or I sit on the table, and I just feel I'm an animated speaker. And my YouTube channels videos were very, stagnant. And I was also I was reading a script at first because I was so nervous about waffling that I was trying to keep myself tight. But it actually made me feel tight. So I'm now just writing myself dot point notes, and then I go out there and just let it rip. And I
yes. Oh, so awesome.
Yeah, I do feel like the personality aspect is coming through more by doing that. And I've seen a spike. And that's only been in the last few weeks that I've made that change. And I've already seen a big spike. I'm getting subscribers overnight consistently, and it's not huge. Like, I'm only up to 40, but I was at 12,
Hey, no, that's amazing. That's awesome. I'm glad that you saw a little bit of a difference. I think it's super important that, you also feel good creating. And I think that's a big element, right? Like, because at the end of the day, if we don't enjoy the creation process, it's, why are we even doing it in the first place? And I think we have these two sides of the spectrum, where on one side you have like the full creator who's like fully is the artist, right? The passion that they create the art that they want to create, and they put it out there to the world, and then they attract their audience. And then later on, they're trying to figure out, okay, how do we monetize that? Versus on our side, we have the business, right? That we provide a service, we provide a solution for somebody, and then we're trying to figure out the art that's going to bring the people into the business. So I think that's an interesting conversation, right? Because, a lot of people, obviously, there's so many tactics and strategies and things out there that are like, okay, what is the thing that I need to do? And then they start doing the thing thinking there's going to be results of a certain way, and then maybe results are not coming, but they're also not enjoying the creation process, and that's a friction. And you, as with the things that you do, you probably understand that very, very well. So,
when you were saying the whole thing of the person who just creates for the fun of creating, I feel like that's a person who already has security of income, and they don't need to worry about drawing that income. through that creation. So I tried that after I closed the shop. I actually tried getting freelance work and securing permanent part-time work. But I found that drained my energy so much that I couldn't create the way I wanted to create. Yeah. So I was like, I'm better off to actually reduce my overheads and make it so I can live on less and do what I'm passionate about and create from that space. And so now I'm kind of sitting in that space where I actually do need to make the money, but I don't want to compromise the joy of it because I can see it doesn't serve.
I think there's a world where both can live. And I think that's where we're trying to achieve with that space is, provide either the frameworks and the tools or the connections to make that happen and create that momentum. Right. So like, I don't know if how do you find us through our podcast? Is that how we connected initially?
Yeah. So I've been listening to your podcast for a few years now. I think I started my podcast only 2 years ago, and it was maybe within the first 3 or 4 months that I started listening to yours. And that has been, I felt bad because I was listening for so long and I hadn't reviewed yet. And I was lying going, oh my goodness, I'm drawing all this information. But I was listening while I was cooking. And while so I was like, I'm not really able to write right now.
No worries. Thank you. I'm very glad that it helped you. So
it's been so good.
Well, that's awesome. Well, that's good feedback for me because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, when we started the show, we were in a position where it was right after COVID. We used to give a ton of services for like local businesses. So we will go record on their stuff and everybody closed, right? And that was almost like our Hail Mary. And we found that podcasting for us was the way that we needed to create to stay consistent because like all the other ways there's a lot of friction. So friction was like things that prevented us for creating, publishing, producing. And obviously the process has evolved quite a bit, but what kind of trigger was that consistency and frequency and trying to get into as many conversations as possible with who we thought it was a prospect for the service that we offer. Right. And then we started kind of adapting kind of that the conversation into what we do now. And that provided opportunities.
So you interview people that you want to work with as well, right?
It started. So yes and no. Right now it's a little bit different because we're in the network. So we do a lot of, if you've listened lately, there's a lot of like solo episodes and Fonzie just became my dad. So he's taking his leave for a few months. But yeah, initially, and it was by accident. It was like interview number 16, I think it was. And the person after the conversation that we did for the show, which the topic applies to what we wanted to do. And we were in a position where in 60 days, we needed to sell something because that was it. Like we had to, and it was mid-COVID, everybody closed. So we had no idea what we were going to do. And the person was like, well, guys, like I had a great time. What do you guys do? And after that conversation, we kind of we pitch our service. We're like, well, but what we do, I don't know if it's for you, but we do production. And the guy said, I need somebody that can handle remote production. Like we already record this stuff and I can send it to you guys. And that's how everything started. And we're like, wow, this is pretty interesting. So we're put in a position where we're now starting to think about audience in a very different way because audience, it's you put the content out there and whoever's consuming that, we consider them audience members, right? But at the same time, the person that we're creating with, like that collaboration, they are also part of the audience. They're the first member of the audience because they're listening to you say the things that you say with them, right? So the approach that we kind of took was instead of us interviewing them was let's have a conversation about this topic together. And that puts us in a level of authority with them instead of below them, right? We're having a conversation about this topic. I might be wrong. You might be wrong. Mostly our guests are right, more right than we are, right? But at the end of the day, it's like we're also showing kind of what we know, what we can do. So what that does is in their eyes, it opens the door to a conversation after. So we establish a process right after for collaborations, and this works in any medium. Like if you do an Instagram collaboration, I was just on a call with somebody that does newsletters. So same things, like how can I connect with that person? That could be an opportunity for me down the road. So that could be a referral partner. That could be a person that opens, a location for you to do a class in there. Maybe somebody that has the audience that you need, right? Maybe they become customers. So what we do after the conversation is like, hey, man, Mary, I just had a great conversation with you. Thank you so much for coming. This was incredible. My favorite topic was XYZ. I'm sure like this is going to be super helpful for the audience. I would love to explore ways where we can collaborate more. And like, if we don't believe that, we don't say it. There's people that have been coming on the show and we're like, I don't want to be involved with that person, right? But I don't even know why we say yes to that conversation. It doesn't happen often. It's happened a lot with cold pitches, like agencies that send people and we think front face might be the best idea, but that's why we're very reserved on who we bring, because we want to be honest about the relationships that we're building. We're like, okay, we like that person. And after that, what we pitch is just, depends on what side of the business they're in. But for the agency, we're like, hey, I would love to show you what we do and see if we can collaborate. And I leave it open like that. And then we set up the call. We're like, hey, can we talk tomorrow? Can we talk in the next couple of days? And that initial frequency of conversations allowed us to connect with more people and learn about their needs. So we initially were providing a different service, but what they needed was the multi-purposing. And that's why we landed there. Yeah. So my I guess my challenge to you, because I think you do a lot of solo shows, right? And it's not, you don't have to do interviews. You don't have to do any.
Plan to. No, I want to do more conversations, even more so than just interviews. I've had a few over the years. Yes. The last couple of years. I haven't been going for that long. But I have reached out to people. Yeah. And at the moment, I've got one girl who's just said yes, in the next few weeks we're going to meet together. But then everyone else recently has said, can we do it in August? Because they've got something that they want to actually promote around that time.
Makes sense.
So I am constantly reaching out to people to have more conversations. It's still new, but that is where, because I recently opened up a new playlist, which I can just focus on my artisanal productivity and what I'm working on. So I can just share stories around that. But the podcast playlist is going to be focused more on interviews and conversations with other people, is my intention with that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I see here your playlists. So yeah, I think initially is, because what happens is there's two ways that, again, back to those levers, which are, your messaging, right? Like the things that you say that connect with your audience, the problems that you solve. Then you have the way that you create. So in that, you have your studio set, right? For example, or you do a talking head video, like what's the creation method? Then you have your production, which, I'm guessing it's probably you, or you have a video editor that kind of supports you in there. Is you? Okay. It's all you. Well, you're doing a great job. But it's normally where it starts, right? And obviously that takes some resources and time. And then you have distribution, which you could have organic distribution, and then you can have paid distribution. Then that distribution connects your business or your content to the monetization system, which depends obviously on your offer, your product, what are the solutions that you're solving, and then how do you manage that? Those are like the 6 levers, and we're going to go deep into those in Business Creator Club specifically, where we're going to talk and bring different examples and solutions for each one of them, depending on like where you are. So for example, on your monetization, it's like, how do we cross the line across all those, right? Like, so let's say, perfect, you have a YouTube channel. That's the distribution channel for your content right now. So YouTube wants your content to do good. So there's going to be some data in the back that is going to give you back on like what kind of video was an outlier, where do people watching, the click-through rate, these different things. But that's also based on like what audience are looking for. And where the audience is presented. So specifically on YouTube, this is something that we started trying out for a show not so long ago. Our show does a lot better in audio than on YouTube. So on YouTube, we decided to try, some paid promotions. So there's a little tab in there that says promotions. You click on it, and then you can run, let's say, $20 worth of ads for your video. What that does is just speeds up the process of your content being introduced to a cold audience, and then they gain subscribers. And we started testing like $20 a video, and we did it for about 10 videos, and we got to 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. Here's the kicker. We learn a ton from there, and we're like, wow, on YouTube, people are not watching past the first like 3 minutes. But in audio, our podcasts are being listened 70%, 80%, to completion, right? It's very different audiences. So at that point, we had to make a decision. Okay, well, for us, the people that we connect with and that come to our world come from the audio podcast mainly. So maybe that strategy for YouTube, we're not going to change what we do there because we feel good about our creation process. We love the people that we bring, and we understand that we're on YouTube, we're competing with a different type of shows or a different type of content, right? Like 3-minute videos, 5-minute videos, entertainment galore, right? Like fast action, like there's many different things and production levels that maybe at this time we don't want to do or we can't do. So we're like, okay, we learn from that, but we can still get that data and be like, okay, how can we get the click-through rate from 5% to 7%? Well, we improve our thumbnails, we improve our headlines and our titles, but that paid aspect speeds up the feedback versus 100 views that might look. So there's things and tactics that you can do based on that. Now that's for like that front end audience.
I've actually had an audio. I have a podcast channel as well. So I use Zencaster to reach Apple and Spotify and whatever else they promote to. And I actually originally created my episodes with that in mind. I really focused on the audio, and I had the intro as a part of that. And then I just would put the video onto YouTube, extract audio, put that onto Zencaster and upload that. So I use iMovie to edit my my content, and that's how I separate it out. But I did notice on YouTube that I would lose people at the intro because it was constantly just the same thing. So I started taking the intro out, and I just had the little bit of music instead. So I have the graphic and the little bit of music a minute and a half in, and that's made a big difference. But I haven't really analyzed what's happening on the audio platform to see if that's worked for it or against it, because I seem to be getting, I also use Instagram, and I clip from my videos to do that and tried to increase my content on Instagram. But I do find Instagram very tricky these days. I don't feel like I'm getting that return of investment of time. Yeah. But I set myself a 14-day challenge, and I did, and I set it for people that were in a webinar that I ran through the program. And in that time, I actually picked up someone who wanted to collaborate with me in their physical space in Canberra. So that clearly worked. But I'm still analytically, I do look in the background. I haven't done as much on the podcast, but I guess I'm not seeing the return in terms of people reaching out to actually work with me yet. I feel like it's all too new will that happen? I don't believe that'll happen overnight. So I'm just trying to see where I'm losing people and then adapt according to that. But yeah, I just haven't spent much time with the audio.
Yeah. And look, it's like everything, it's a hypothesis, right? We're like, okay, for this next month, this is a production layout and the volume that we're going to do. We're going to put it out there in organic, and then we're going to do X paid strategy, because there are 1,000 paid strategies depending on the platform, right? And then you see what they do. And at the end of the day, we have to look, okay, maybe what's your goal? Like your goal is to get clients, right? So, and get clients at what price point? So there's not only the element of the content side, but also the element of like, how many conversations are we having? And then you have other elements of like, okay, well, are we actually presenting a solution for the actual problem that there is? So that's why like initially, like from that, like 0 to like 5, it's like, okay, how can we get in as many conversations as possible? Like one-on-ones, kind of like every time we launch something new, we like to hop on these calls, for example, to find out what the real need is, because we got to also decide and be like, is that the thing that we can actually deliver to our community or our customer or our lead, right? So this just happened also with the call that I had before. Sometimes we as maybe business owners or creators, we're very passive on expecting the people to come to us. And we forget that we can also be very proactive about it. So I guess one of my challenges will be, where are some online communities or places, like where are those places where your ideal customer is today, right? You have one example, which is the company that you work with, right now. So that's a pool of potential customers for your business. So similar to that, where can we find them? And then it's like, how can we put the content in front of them? So if they have a newsletter, if they have a content vehicle that you can also plug in, awesome. But at the same time, it's like, how can we establish conversations with them? Do they do workshops? Can I go and do a workshop with them? Can I reach out to each one of the members and give them a phone call and be like, hey, I don't know if this is for you, but I do XYZ. Would you hop on a 10-minute call with me? I just need a couple questions, and I would love to answer any of your questions regarding that topic, for example. You'll be very surprised how many people say yes. So that proactiveness, it's I guess sometimes overlooked. And that's what helped us gain momentum initially. And yes. And it was like, regardless of the content that we're creating, because we know that our content is going to grab traction and it's going to discover some people and it's going to get to them. But because we didn't have money to do paid, or, we didn't have direct response, we didn't really have a proven product back then. It's, and we're still developing some side on the agency side. We know exactly what we do and who's our ideal customer. But initially we need to have those conversations with those people, right?
With the person who reached out for me to do something in her physical space, I've actually sent her a proposal where I run it's 3 months. It's 6 sessions over 3 months, in person kind of event with business owners from the region. And because she's a yoga studio in Ayurveda, and she just said, I'd like to know if you want to come and see my space and see if you want to run something here. But it was nothing specific. It wasn't like, I want you to do this here. She just wanted me to go in and see what I felt like I could offer. And so I thought, well, this would be a really good portal to actually meet business owners who are health conscious as well, or realizing they're suffering. And so she wants to hire out that space to business owners that run their own wellness kind of events. So I was like, if we collaborate, we can actually bring business owners into the space, look after themselves first, and then pitch that they can use this space for themselves. So that's only new. But that was my intention behind creating the content, sharing more of what I do, to then find the people that I resonate with, that I can have the conversations with. Because previously I was really directing people to what everybody else does, as in I'm showcasing the work of all these other people. So this is all still very new.
Absolutely.
I hope that actually transpires into something, because I do want to create more opportunity to have that one-to-one conversation with people.
Yeah, I'll leave you with a couple of examples, and maybe you can grab some ideas. And again, like the group, my inbox is open. If you have any follow-up questions, like that email that you got on or that text, feel free to send it back. I'm happy to answer it that way. But also, once we open the community, there's going to be like open Q&A sessions where we can jump on, and it's not just us, but anybody that can jump can support, and also inside of the community. But we have Karen. She's on the agency side. She's a customer, and she's also a coach for women here in the States. And she does a very interesting event, which is a breathing event. So she brings all these women and they do a breathing session, and it's amazing. And that's her way into her coaching. She doesn't coach she doesn't coach breathing. She coaches these women how to like go back to their fullness and energy and all these things, because, if you live in a city in America, it can be a little depressing sometimes.
Or breathe.
Yeah. But that's a very unique, it's not like a business tailor event, and she works mainly with business people, but it's a very unique type of workshop that she does. And sometimes these workshops are also advertised in marketplaces, like Eventbrite, or like these platforms that they already have, traffic, and then they sign this up. So she does once a month and so on. And that seems to be working with her to get in those leads. Then she brings them into her show or her podcast. And then from there, they start collaborating together. Some people can become that. There's another guy that he did this a lot through COVID. I think he still does it, but he does daily conversations on Instagram Live. So he has his show, which is like the juicy topics that he talks about. He keeps it for himself. But then on Instagram, he does a daily conversation with somebody. So he reaches out with somebody who has an interesting story on the platform, and then they hop on an Instagram Live together. Right. So if you're familiar, and that can be done on Facebook, that can be done whatever, but he chose Instagram because he's familiar with the platform. And it's the same thing. It's like we're collaborating together. We're talking about a specific topic for 30 minutes. And then after that, it's like, hey, I would love to collaborate. And when he did it to us, we're like, that's incredible, because that's how we can also kind of start connecting with people at a higher frequency. So we used to do the show 3 times a week. He did it once a day. So we're like, oh, at the time we launched something called Content Bites to increase the frequency of conversations. So it was a pre-Content is Profit. So we'll have one a day. And then from those, they will graduate to Content is Profit. And we still build a really cool relationship. So maybe you have something like that where it's like, hey, if you want to increase the frequency, maybe we do 2 questions about this topic, and it could be any topic, but the idea is to spend quality time with that person.
Well, the lady who reached out, I actually plan to get her onto the podcast and talk to her about her business and what her specialty area. I just didn't send her that question until I sent her the proposal, because she asked me to come in and run a workshop.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she almost like she skipped that step, which is totally fine, right? And then, if she wants to, I think at that point, I mean, nothing wrong to have her on your show if you feel like that's valuable to her. But that's the result of like these conversations, right? You connected with her. So that proactiveness, and, there might be, I'm sure there's communities online where they might be asking questions, right? Facebook groups, Reddit groups, like LinkedIn, like wherever you feel like your customer is, that they might be asking the questions that you can answer. So, once a week, once a day, you can come in for a few minutes, answer those questions, friend those people, and be like, hey, Luis, I saw that you had this question on Facebook. I answered them in the comments, but here's the answer just in case. And I would love to connect with you and learn more about, you and what you do. Will you be down for a 11-minute call? And people are like, 11 minutes? That's weird. All this specific, but you'll be very surprised. People hop on. It could be a 15-minute call, a 20-minute call. We tend to see with like people that we don't know, shorter time is a little better. And you'll be very surprised. Like people come to those conversations, and then you can discover more about them and see if you can support them. Right. So there's a couple of ways that you can go about do that. But my question to you is, maybe you go back to an example of like, how you created that relationship that ended up, being coached. How can you replicate that? Like, what's the fastest path to the least resistant path to cash, for example, right? Where a lot of people starting with content is like the path looks like create content, send to a landing page, book a call, sales page, order page with a ton of steps is really challenging versus, hey, I love what you comment here. Here's my answer. Can we hop on a quick call? Now we have the connection. Now we have the conversation, and we can then from there, that's up to you on how you can do that. There's obviously ways that you can, but I think that how you compress that is through that. And I hope that kind of helps.
It does. It's encouragement, because that it takes courage to actually go and reach out to someone and say, let's jump on a call. Right.
It's more like, let's connect. Hey, I'm looking to connect with more people around the world about, X topic, which is what you told me. Which is what you told me at the beginning of this conversation, right? Like that's what you want.
It is. And that's exactly what I'm working on shifting. So I value what you've said, because it is for me, it's been such a game changer going from having a physical space where I've had those conversations with people organically just by them coming into my space. And the whole online presence was to direct them to come in to have that conversation. But now it's like, how do I get that? Because previously
that's a good conversation. And I know we have a few minutes here, but I don't think it has to change much, right? Like, again, I probably have to ask better questions on this side, but like I used to be on a fitness studio manager. So I had about 1,000 members in our fitness studio that would come every day. Online is similar. It's just they don't have to drive to our spot. Like that, they're like, hey, my space is here in Zoom, for example, right? Like if you want a one-on-one, or my space, if you have Patreon still, my space is in Patreon. Like let's meet there, right? So the conversation, and you don't have to drive there, you can just click a button and we're already there. Like magic. Is awesome. There's no traffic, but the techniques to bring people into those rooms, they might not change a lot. So I would challenge to maybe revisit some of the things that you were doing for that and be like, how can we adapt it? Right. So for example, we had a pizza place next to our studio, and we thought they were the perfect leads for our studio because, you know, most of them were overweight, and we could fix that. So we decided to run a strategy where we will pay for their dollar slices. On Thursdays, they had dollar pizza slices, and we will pay for 2 slices if they gave us their information. Yeah. So we got like 200 leads in like 2 hours, and they were so cheap and amazing. And we're like, we won at this game. Well, guess what happened the next day? We're like, let's call them. And nobody picked up. 2 people came in. They hated it. Like those people we got the leads, but they didn't want our product. They wanted the pizza. So that's why they gave us the information. But we're like, okay, now we need to find a place like that has our customers. Yeah. So in that specific case, we went to other businesses like Lululemon and people that were spending, you know, crazy amount of dollars in like fitness and diets and groceries, healthy groceries, because those were the customers. Now translate that into the online space. Like, where are those people hanging out, right? Like obviously social platforms, but groups in social platforms. So we started looking at like different suburbs, moms groups, for example, or like neighborhood groups, because the moms were there, or we had a couple of staff members that were part of a school. So they're like, yeah, I'm going to go talk to our school board and things. So like where those spaces are out there with similar interests. And then it's like, okay, how can we start supporting them, answering their questions, being of value? And then as soon as like you see a response back or a thank you or a like, friends those guys and be like, hey, Luis, so awesome. I love the question that you asked. I send you the comment. I would love to connect in my space. So you're
friending them on Facebook.
It depends where you are, right? Like if it's LinkedIn, it's I think it's platform specific. For us, we did it on Facebook because that's where we were. So we found we have a group. There's a big group from Buzzsprout, which is like it's like a publishing platform for podcasts. They had about 100,000 members in there, and we hop in there. We answer a few questions, and then the people that like it respond under us. We use a specific software, but that can be done inside of the platform as well. You can click on there. We friend them. We ask, hey, are you interested in something like this? I'm happy to connect. And that's how the whole process works. Yes, it is. We have to put in the work, but
no, I'm not against that. I'm more just trying to understand and I've got to shift from the physical in-person connection to the online. And that's where I've got that disconnect. I've not worked out where to hang out online to connect with those people. So that's why I asked that question.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I think here's a practice round. If you haven't signed up to the challenge, you can hang out with us in Contents Profit, and you can use our group as a practice. There's 300 people in there, and you can start looking, and you'll see like we're super friendly. So, but honestly, that's what that group is for. People are going to expect those connections. And I think it's going to be a good practice round for everybody in there to, hey, let's start connecting. The same thing. We had no idea.
No, I really appreciate that. And I know we're up for time. So I wish I had thought of that question earlier.
No, you're good. Look, if you have any follow-up questions or different things, you can use the same link. We can talk later this week. I owe you guys a few calls. So totally okay with that. I'm happy to support you, and I would love to see you in the group for sure, for real.
Thank you very much. It's awesome. Yeah, no, I will definitely join the group and become more active in groups. It's like, yeah.
You got this.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, Mary, welcome again to the community, and I'll keep you posted.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you, Mary. Bye. Take care.